Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. All right, let's start off with our cosmic weather for today. See what our energy's doing. We got our solar wind is blowing at 324.8 kilometers per second. Our planetary K index is a 1 and expected to get no higher. So you can see from this, you should start to be getting an idea there of where the solar wind usually is. It seems to hang around in the 300 range most of the time, and then when it gets into like the 4, 5, 600, that's when we start seeing this planetary K index going up. But usually this seems to be about the normal place, 300 and so. We don't really have any coronal holes that we can see here. If there are, they're on the backside of the sun that we're not seeing. We do have a 65% chance, it has gone up a little bit since yesterday, of an M-class flare. And that is probably due to the CME that hit the other day. It came off the sun, so we're expecting to get hit from that today. And possibly some more flares coming off of there. There's a 5% chance we're going to have an X-class. But geomagnetic storm activity is pretty low. It's 15% active if you're in the higher regions, and only about 5% in the lower regions. Yesterday there was the asteroid, another near-Earth object that passed by, but nothing happened. We're still here today. No rocks hit us, no major calamities, so yay for us. Alright, here we go. Chance for flares. AR 1504 has developed a beta gamma delta magnetic field that harbors energy for strong solar flares. So there's a 65% chance today. I showed you the graph the other day where you see the Earth, and play it again. In case you missed this, you got the Earth, you got Venus, you got Mars. These other three things are the little satellites, cameras out there. And you could see that they're all in the path getting hit from this energy of the sun. So we may feel something from that today, they're saying. We'll see. Alright, astrologically, same sun sign, Gemini. So we deal with the element of air. From there, we are going to move into our subconscious right over here. Move this over here. We are in Taurus. Yesterday we were in the void, of course, between Taurus and Aries. Today we've moved all the way into Taurus with an earth sign. So we have air on the conscious mind. So our conscious mind is looking for a way to express itself, to communicate, to use its words and actions out in the world. Whereas unconsciously underneath, there's a practicality that's going on. The Taurus wants to be practical. The Taurus likes the things around it, to have the luxuries and the comforts around it. One thing with the Taurus, it relates to the tarot card of the Hierophant, which is all about listening to the inner teacher. Now, how does this relate to the practicality of Earth? Very simply, when you're on Earth living amongst all of the energies in the earthly ways, it's easy to get caught up in the earthly ways. But the reminder is to go inside and listen to the inner teacher, because that is the way we will be able to be most effective in the way in which we use our energies in the practical manner to deal with the physical world. So that's what's going on there. So we got earth and air as the two elements we're dealing with today. And then we've got the current moon phase, 14% full, making its way back down to a new moon in just a couple of days. And on the Mayan oracle, we're at a 5-tone day. 5 tones called the overtone. So we got the fifth position right here. The symbol for today, or the kin, is, as it's called, is the mirror, which is right in the middle. So today is the overtone mirror, guided by the world bridger right here, which teaches us the lessons of life and death. The balance between the two, and the realization that there really isn't life and death. It's just all one big balancing act between the two. Alright. Then we have the supporting cast members on the left-hand side. We have the star, which is the challenge for today, which is our beauty and our elegance, letting it shine. Whereas the like-minded energy for today is the dragon, the power of birth, fresh ideas, new beginning, way to use our energies. And down here, the occult kin, and remember, occult is just a word that means hidden, that which is hidden, nothing more. No evilness, no negativity, nothing attached to that. Just a word that means that which is hidden. And the hidden power for today is the night. And the night is all about abundance, dreams, intuition. So altogether, our phrase for today is I empower in order to reflect, commanding order. I seal the matrix of endlessness with the overtone tone of radiance, and I am guided by the power of death. All right, so that's where we're at. The correlations on the Mayan Zolkin are 10 Chuan, and on the Hab 14 Sots, and on the Gregorian Friday, June 15th, 2012. All right, so that catches you up. So that's what we're working with energetically today. So use that information as you will as you go out in the world. All right, I got a lot of good stuff for you today. We're going to start off with a bit of information about propaganda. Now, propaganda is something that is used against the people of the world all the time. The media uses it. Propaganda is where they tell you how to think, and either you listen to the way they think, or they'll continue to hit you up with more propaganda until you start thinking the way they want you to think. Propaganda is used all the time in the media. It's been used throughout the history of media. And that's why people are thinking the way they are thinking. There's a very strong science to it. This is a good report here from Darren McBreen over at InfoWars. Let me play this for you, and you'll see what I mean.
Into the mind of the father of propaganda, Edward Bernays. Now, Edward Bernays, as you know, was the... This is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. The message you are hearing is part of a nationwide live show testing emergency alert system capability. This test message has been initiated by National Alert and Warning Authorities in coordination with emergency alert system participants, including on-air entertainment, highlighted and wildlife. National emergency. You just heard. This is followed by emergency information and before instructions. Only a test. We now return you to regular programming.
Let's take a Winston break. That's it. Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
The Flintstones has been brought to you by Winston, America's best-selling, best-tasting filter cigarette.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Why not change to Camels for the next 30 days and see what a difference it makes in your smoking enjoyment? See how Camels agree with your throat. See how mild and good tasting a cigarette can be.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
Kennedy died at 1 p.m.
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation. Every day, our senses are being constantly bombarded by subliminal messages that are found in TV, movies, and advertisements. The subliminal messages we are subjected to are unrecognizable by the conscious mind and only recognizable in our subconscious mind. The messages and imagery are passively absorbed and then stored in our subconscious, where propagandists deliberately implant artificial thoughts, which in turn can affect our actions and attitudes later in life. Experiments have shown that less than 1 minute after the viewer begins to watch television, the brain switches from beta-level consciousness, associated with active and logical thought, to alpha level, which is associated with passive acceptance and suggestibility. This is why advertisers spend billions of dollars a year on commercials, as well as product placement within TV shows. Political messages are implanted in fictional TV programs as the relaxed meditative state of the viewer is receptive to the programming. One example is AMC's Breaking Bad television series, as it depicts a meth villain as a Ron Paul supporter.
I looked him up. It was one of these physicists, one of Hitler's guys, a physicist named Werner Heisenberg. Real cute, huh? In
a basic college level marketing class, in your first year of radio, television, and film, at least for me, and then I've seen some other textbooks and curriculum and found it's also in those, but most RTF schooling teaches you that they have had subliminals for at least 70 years in the United States and Europe. And so, yes, there is subliminal messaging everywhere. It is all over the place. It's an absolute fact that they flicker it at a rate and that they have the televisions designed for that rate to bring you into a dreamlike state. I mean, it is a fact that within minutes you go into a dream brainwave when watching television. Go read a book by the father of modern advertising, Edward Bernays, where he calls you a dumb slave and admits they run your whole life. I've read both his major books. One of them is called Propaganda. Edward Bernays.
The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed. Our minds are molded, our tastes are formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we've never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized.
To better understand the current state of modern-day media manipulation, we must first look at the father of propaganda, Edward Bernays. His influence on the 20th century rivaled that of his uncles, Sigmund Freud, as Bernays pioneered the idea of crowd psychology with Freud's psychoanalytical ideas in what would become a new political ideal on how to control the masses. In his 1928 book, Propaganda, Bernays wrote, "If we understand the mechanisms and motives of the group mind, it is now possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without them knowing it." He called it the engineering of consent and proposed that those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. It was Bernays who introduced the corporate giants to crowd psychology methods and polished techniques to manipulate society. He convinced the population to buy on impulse things they didn't even need by linking mass-produced goods to their own unconscious desires. The tobacco industry hired Bernays to persuade women to take up smoking, and the Alcoa Aluminum Company asked him to drive the campaign for the national fluoridation of our water supply. A consumerist culture was born, and the U.S. government took notice. In addition to famous corporate giants, Bernays also began working for the federal government. They adopted his technique of manufacturing ever-present dangers and then maintaining a constant state of fear to give those in power greater control of what Bernays called the mass mind.
Edward Bernays, who's the father of modern advertising and propaganda, he literally wrote the book Propaganda. Joseph Goebbels, on record, the Nazi propaganda minister, used a lot of his information and twisted it to his own designs. Bernays was the chief psychological warfare expert for more than 20 years, advising the Department of War he advised them to call it defense. Don't be honest anymore. Call it the Department of Defense, because you're actually going to run giant imperial slaughter operations.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Okay, today I got a bunch of stories today. 1, 2, 6 of them. So let's get started. Our first one comes to us, UFO activity over Salonica, Greece. This was on the 14th of June, just the other day. A mass UFO activity was recorded in the night sky of Salonica in Greece. All right, let's get to this video here so we could check it out. All right, here we go. Uh-oh. All right, well, let's do that advertising. I'm going to go to the next one here. Bright orbs hovering above Taranto, Italy, June 2012. Let's look at this here. All right, there we go. That's a 1, 2, 3. Well, there's a whole bunch of them out there. Not more than just 3, 4. This one's blinking out there. There we go. Got a couple blinking in there. Pretty fascinating, huh? All right, this is over Italy. Let's jump back over here. All right, this is our sighting that took place above Greece. All right, I got another triangle-like object up there. Actually, kind of similar to what was just the sighting over Italy there. Okay, stop that right there. You can see a whole bunch of them. That's quite a grouping, isn't it? All right, let's move along. Next one. Right here, UFOs flying over the moon. So again, more stuff taking place on the moon. I think it's safe to say now that we know about the moon activity because we're seeing plenty of videos about it. Either that or there's a lot of people that are really misinformed, but I would tend to think that the other way around. I tend to think the other way around. All right. So you're encouraged to watch this in high definition, which at this point we're not going to do that. All right, what are we looking at here? There we go. Okay, it's on the bottom right hand side right down here. See that? Looks like we've got something else over here. Okay, I'm not seeing this one here. With the video links available so you can check it out. You saw the first one there was in the bottom right hand corner, and I don't think this is it here, but you can check that out. Alright, we have a orange spiral over Port Colborne, Canada. And this was on June 13th. There's a nice good picture of it. And we got some video. Alright, looks like the video is not a video, it's just a slow motion. Okay. Pretty interesting. Look at that. Let's see if we can get a zoom ahead here. Alright. So what do you think that is? That doesn't quite look like one of those spirals that we saw the other day. We've seen these kind of ships before, which are the kind that have the glowing light. This isn't necessarily like that spiral that we saw the other day that came out. It was like the wormhole. Alright. Next one here. Now, remember the other day we saw the UFO in Washington, and prior to that there was something in Illinois, possibly a similar one. Well, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a UFO. Nope, It was just a drone aircraft, the military confirmed Thursday, responding to buzz that the alien craft was spotted in Washington, D.C. area. So there you go. This is what a drone looks like. Okay? So now we've got confusion. Obviously, it's going to go on because there's going to be these drones, and then there's going to be the regular flying saucers. So which ones are which? That's going to be the challenge, to tell the difference between the two. But nonetheless, after some practice, we will certainly learn how to do that. And the last one here for today, UF News related, is about the research that's going on in the Baltic Sea. OceanX team confirms that they have found something strange and unique in the Baltic Sea. We got some photos. Recent update to treasure hunters. OceanX team discovered something unique when they dove down to the mysterious circle-shaped object in the Baltic Sea. All right, here's some of their recent pictures. The OceanX team dove down to the circle-shaped object in the Baltic and met something they never experienced before. First, they thought it was just stone or rock cliff, but after further observation, the object appeared more as a huge mushroom rising 3 to 4 meters, 10 to 13 feet from the seabed, with rounded sides and rugged edges. The object had an egg-shaped hole leading into it from the top as an opening. The top of the object, they also found a strange stone circle formations, almost looking like small fireplaces. The stones were covered in something resembling soot. During my 20-year diving career, including 6,000 dives, I have never seen anything like this. Normally, stones don't burn. I can't explain what we saw. I went down there to answer questions, but I came up with even more questions, says Stephen Colborne, one of the divers at the OceanX team. The path to the object itself can be described as a runway or a downhill path that is flattened to the seabed with the object at the end of it. Alright, so we got more pictures of the dive. First, we thought it was only stone, but this is something else. And since no volcanic activity has ever been reported in the Baltic Sea, the find becomes even stranger. As laymen, we can only speculate how this is made by nature, but this is the strangest thing I've ever experienced as a professional diver, continues Peter Lindbergh, one of the founding members of OceanX team. Alright. And says right now scientists are examining examples from the circle-shaped object, and experts in sonar imaging and processing data from the ship to hopefully shed more light over the mysterious objects. The reports that the information has been taken from is in Swedish. Some Swedish members of the Facebook group are saying that the image you see on the pile of rocks is not the object, but is in fact a pile of rocks that are on top of the object. Why was this not made perfectly clear earlier and is not obvious? The anomaly is being described as a huge mushroom rising 3 to 4 meters off the seabed with rounded sides and rugged edges. All right, so there you go. That's our update from OceanX. Let's jump away to a song. I'll be right back. I got a lot more news. Here we go.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, it is time to demand the truth each and every day, my friends, each and every day. Are you demanding the truth out there when you go through life? Are you? Are you expecting that the people around you are going to be honest? Demand that of them. Demand that the truth of the people around you and see what happens. Hey, there may be some struggles, but ultimately everybody likes truth, and everybody understands how the truth really helps them to free up. All right? So, let's continue on here. All right, I'm going to do two stories here. This is about Rand Paul. We're going to get some answers here. First, we have a piece on Reality Check about what Rand Paul is doing and why he is doing what he is doing. There's a lot of people who don't understand. Let's see if any of these two things can clear this up a bit. Here we go.
Endorsement that surprised many people. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul endorsing Mitt Romney for president late last week. Surprising when you consider the strong stances Senator Paul has taken against the use of drones overseas, the indefinite detention of U.S. citizens, issues that Governor Romney supports. I talked with Senator Paul from Washington, D.C. earlier today. Let's talk about the endorsement last week of Governor Mitt Romney. That's primarily why I wanted to talk to you today. A lot of folks very interested in that endorsement. There's been a lot of backlash, I'm sure, from it. A lot of people feel like they're confused by that endorsement. Tell me your reasoning behind endorsing Governor Romney.
Well, you know, when I ran for office, I ran and I had to make a pledge, basically, to endorse the nominee. I wasn't forced to do it, but I had to make a pledge because many Republicans said, well, your dad never endorses a Republican nominee. You're not going to be a Republican to support the Republican Party in general. So I made a decision long ago when I ran for office that I promised I would support the nominee. Now, I was lucky I was the nominee, but I also said the same thing in the presidential election. And people say that for various reasons. I say it because I want the influence of people who believe in the limited or liberty message to have a seat at the table. And I think if we don't, then we're blamed for everything and we're cast to the side and we don't get some of the things that I might be able to get otherwise. I'm working very hard on Audit the Fed now. I sat down with Republican leadership in the Senate this week and Democrat leadership. The fact that I can sit down and have an audience with them, though, is that I'm a Republican in good standing. Some may not like that, but because I am a Republican in good standing, there's a reasonable chance I'm going to be able to get a vote on Audit the Fed this summer.
You had mentioned last week that Governor Romney had spoken with you just a little bit about the idea of auditing the Fed and that he might be open to it. He has said in the past that he is not open to auditing the Fed, or that he believes that Chairman Bernanke is doing a pretty good job, he has said in the past. Do you believe that he is legitimately open to it, or is it more lip service?
Well, you know, I think actually his comments specifically on auditing the Fed have not been against auditing the Fed. He's been asked a couple times whether he's interested in it or whether he's going to be criticizing the Fed, and he hasn't been overly critical. But, you know, some people believe in auditing the Fed who aren't great opponents of it.
In terms of foreign policy, President Obama and Governor Romney, they're very similar in terms of those views, in terms of their use of foreign drones, that Governor Romney certainly would support that. He supports the Patriot Act. He supports the indefinite detention of even U.S. citizens through the NDAA. Are those areas where you hope to influence him as well with this endorsement?
We had discussions about indefinite detention as well, and I do hope to influence him. And whether or not he eventually comes to our position or not, my position doesn't change. I've been the leading advocate up here for not allowing it to happen. I was the one who brought it to the floor when there was an amendment that was going to say that if anyone was found innocent in a court of law, they could still be held indefinitely. I personally defeated that because I insisted on a vote.
If we're looking at what's happening with your father in terms of delegate counting across the country, he has amassed very healthy number of delegates in states. I know in the email that he sent out the day of your endorsement of Governor Romney, he was projecting that his campaign will pick up some 500 delegates. Obviously, some would be bound. There are questions about the binding of delegates. Either way, 500 delegates who would support him in Tampa and support the liberty message. How significant is that movement and what you're seeing right now in the Republican Party at that grassroots level?
I think it's enormous. It'll be the largest presence of liberty-minded folks at a Republican convention probably ever. So we'll have a great deal of influence with regards to the platform. I'll be there in Tampa. We're working hard to make sure Audit the Fed is part of the platform. We've also gotten some resistance from Rick Santorum already, who says he doesn't want the Paul folks to have influence. So if he wants to come down there and fight for, you know, increasing the Department of Education like he voted when he was in the Senate, bring it on. If he wants to come down and vote, you know, against auditing the Fed being part of the platform, you know, bring it on. We're ready for him. And I think those are battles we'll win.
Well, if you'd like to make your voice heard on this story.
So, we shall not, I don't want to make any judgments, pass any judgments on Rand Paul, what he's doing, but, you know, is he playing with fire? Is he trying to cross over to the dark side and hope he's going to influence them, and in the end it's just going to bite him in the butt? Time will tell. But now here is another piece on Rand Paul. This one I think is very telling. Luke Radowski of We Are Change goes out and he confronts a lot of politicians, a lot of people who are doing corrupt things. This is exactly what he did here. He confronted Rand Paul. You decide from this reaction how you feel about this. Here we go.
Hey, Senator Paul. My name is Luke of We Are Change. We had an interesting conversation before about the Bilderberg Group, and knowing what you know, how can you support Mitt Romney when The Guardian reported he was at the Bilderberg meeting?
The senator just got out of a meeting where
we're having a private conversation right now. You can make an appointment to stop by sometime.
I know it's a comfortable question. I know you know a lot about the Bilderberg Group, and we just want to know, why would you endorse? I know you're playing politics, but is politics really that dirty? Rand, the Bilderberg Group is a very serious group.
You can get Jessica online and I'll talk to her about that.
A lot of people have a lot of questions about your endorsement of Romney, and I think the Bilderberg one is very poignant. Also, Goldman Sachs, when I interviewed you, you called for an audit.
Did you find out that Robert was able to get back to the apartment? Did you get him along the right way?
Okay, thanks.
He was willing to talk to me before I brought up Bilderberg.
I'm sorry, we can't continue this conversation right
You were willing to talk to me before I brought up the Bilderberg Group and your endorsement of Romney. I mean, you know, The Guardian reported eyewitnesses seeing him.
It's going to be inside or outside.
It's going to be outside. Everybody's all lined up, and we are ready.
Probably the only way to be done. That's not really to go inside.
Yeah, I know. I think you're absolutely right.
I know you're just trying to keep this conversation so I don't keep talking, but I mean, you called for an audit of Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is the top contributor of Romney. Do you still believe we should have an audit of Goldman Sachs and the Federal Reserve? Mr. Rand Paul? We're just trying to get answers here.
Are you planning on going into the reception?
Yes, I'll accompany you there, and then if you want, I can drive you back to your house, or do you have your car?
Okay, so Mitt Romney goes to Bilderberg. Just a couple days. The London Guardian reports on it. Eyewitnesses have seen him there, almost 4. You know what you know about the Bilderberg Group. You told me yourself they want a one-world government and that they are here to collude power and use government to get richer. And right after Romney is spotted at the Bilderberg Group, you endorse Romney.
I have some of the remarks. I need to stop by the office.
We just want to know what's going on here, Rand.
Get the remainder of those.
You were willing to talk to me before I brought up Bilderberg. It's a very serious concern. We just asked for a conversation and a dialogue. I'm sure you could explain yourself and to our audience if you give it a try. But by walking away, you know, you're kind of indicting yourself, making yourself look somewhat guilty. But
I think then
we could have held the whole conversation.
we should probably try to see if we can find a spot inside.
We could have explained everything to our audience. They're only going to have more questions about you, Mr. Rand, and you're only hurting yourself by not answering the question. And I'm being as polite as I can be. I'm not making any accusations. I'm not trying to say you're so loud, even though a lot of people do say that. I'm just trying to get answers, and that's why I'm here talking to you, and that's why I'm persistent the way I am. I know you could hear me. Rand, I know you're trying to ignore me, but the video will play for itself. It will be on YouTube. You could redeem yourself. We're trying to give you a chance to redeem yourself, and all you're doing is walking away, sadly. And
if you would like to get comment from us, please.
He's not going to comment on the Bilderberg. I've already been around the Senate building. They never give comments. Before you became senator, you talked about the Bilderberg group and auditing Goldman Sachs. Right now, you're supporting Romney. A lot of your supporters are let down, and I'm let down by your reaction. Since Rand Paul wouldn't answer my questions, we're sending in backup. We got the one and only Abby Martin. Just took her to the Senate building. What do you think of the Senate building, Abby?
It's very surreal. Looks like a haunted house.
Go, Abby, come here. Come here. Walk up behind him and just say, hey, my name's Abby from Media Roots. One quick question as we walk, and then ask him the question. Ask him the question.
Hey, Rand. Abby Martin from Media Roots. I just wanted to ask you one quick question. You know, your endorsement for Mitt Romney. People have a lot of questions about it. I just wanted to see your opinion on it. What do you think about all of Ron Paul's followers and just your father's movement catering to the establishment that's shut you guys out for so long? Are you concerned with what this is going to do for the liberty movement as a whole, sir? Sir, Romney endorses all of the policies that you've been voting against for so long. NDAA, drones. He wants to expand the military to twice its size. Do you have any comment on that, sir? Your endorsement to him just blanketly says that all those policies should be enacted.
Okay. Good job. Let's keep moving. We can't go in that area, so we're not going to walk in that area. We're just going to keep it moving. Obviously, keep filming, Dustin. Obviously, he was afraid of the questions and ducked and dived into the first area that we couldn't get into. And I think he did a very stellar job. Good on him. I know your thing jumps and you get really nervous, and then you just got to go with it. You did very well.
The woman blocked me, but
yeah, the woman was pushing you and blocking you.
You know, he got the point that a lot of people are really upset and want answers of why he's blanketly endorsing these policies that he claims he's against.
Yeah. I tried to have a nice conversation with him. Obviously, he doesn't like you too, or he just doesn't like real questions.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when people confront you about real issues. You just duck and dive. That's the politician way.
That's Washington, D.C. for you.
He's been drinking the water.
It's Hollywood for ugly people.
All right. So, what did you think of that? Is that quite telling or what? That is quite telling indeed. Kind of disappointing to see that Rand Paul is behaving that way. Because I know that I've seen lots of times where Ron Paul has been confronted by reporters, and he always takes the time that I've seen to stop and talk. You know, Rand Paul sold out. That seems to be the only answer. I mean, what are you doing out there, Rand? You're ignoring people. You've become opposite of what you claim to be. Now you're trying to, you know, you've lost credibility, Rand. You've lost credibility with me. But then again, you really didn't have a lot of credibility with me because your name is Rand, not Ron. So, all right, moving on from there. We've talked about the mark of the beast before. You've heard about it. Well, here we go. Biometrics Summit confirms 6 federal agencies. IDGA's Biometric and Identity Management Summit is the only conference of its kind anywhere in the world, featuring keynote presentations from the leading government agencies forging the future of biometrics, including US Visit, BEMA, DARPA, FBI, NIJ, JIE, DDO, and COIC. IDGA announces the Biometrics and Identity Management Summit taking place at Ritz-Carlton, Pentagon City, Arlington, Virginia, from August 20th to the 22nd. Although biometric identification isn't new, the September 11, 2001 attacks did change people's attitudes towards its use in three ways. First, the event dramatically lowered the general public resistance to technology previously viewed as invasive. Second, biometric identification was given the legislative green light. And third, the imperative to create standards and new technologies paved the way for the massive infusion of global funding. But before 9/11, biometric technologies have been used for identification for centuries. All right, there's things going on here, but folks, this is one reason why knowing the truth of 9/11 is so important. Because they used that event, and then, as you heard from the beginning with the propaganda, they used enough propaganda to get you to believe that the official story that they are telling is the way it happened. Even though you can watch and see with your own eyes information that is opposite of what they're telling you, your brain can't seem to put that information together because you've been conditioned over and over and over through repetition to be able to think the way that they want you to think. So if you're thinking the way that they want you to think, hey, they've succeeded. They've won. The terrorists have won, and they have defeated you. Now, those of you who are aware of what's going on and haven't fallen, congratulations. You're looking at things clearly. You haven't fallen into their slumber of brainwashing. So keep thinking clearly. Keep believing. Eventually, everyone else will wake up. Hopefully not too late, though. All right. Here's a story. It comes to us from the MintChipChallenge.com. This is an interesting thing. MintChip Challenge, the evolution of currency. Today's digital economy is changing faster than ever, and currency has to change too. It is. Introducing MintChip from the Royal Canadian Mint, the evolution of currency. MintChip brings all the benefits of cash into the digital age, instant, private, and secure. MintChip value can be stored and moved quickly and easily over email, software applications, or by physically tapping devices together. Change is good. This is better. So you heard stories about currency changes. Well, here's another one confirming exactly that. You know, it's not too difficult to go back and look at all of the stories that have been labeled conspiracy theories. And you start to check them off, and you start realizing these aren't just conspiracy theories. These are things that are actually coming out to be true. And the people who brought this information out, they knew this years ahead of time. So why is it taking so long for so many Americans to catch up? Is this country and the rest of the world, are we that lacking in the ability to discern good information from bad information? It seems very important that we do. And as a matter of fact, isn't one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit the gift of discernment? Well, we certainly need to use that discernment because there's a lot of folks who are being tricked over and over and over again. Here's one. We got all this fuel problems, right? Gas is going up. And yet, U.S. government blocks sale of fuel-efficient cars. Now, why would they do that? If they're our friends, why would they do that? Maybe they're not our friends. The development of affordable green cars and trucks, electric vehicles and hybrids designed to dramatically curb the nation's reliance on fossil fuels is supposed to be the primary goal for the Obama administration and a number of government and industry leaders. But what about diesel-burning vehicles that already get more than 70 miles a gallon? Yes, you read that right. There are already vehicles on the road, nice vehicles, not bread boxes with weed-eating motors and on wheels, that get better than 70 miles to a gallon of diesel fuel. Only you can't buy one here in the United States. Have you ever heard of the little German car company called Volkswagen? Well, you probably didn't know is that VW makes a car called the Passat Blue Motion 1.6 TDI, and according to the published specs and eyewitness accounts, the vehicle is capable of getting 72 to 78 miles per gallon under normal load, and Driving conditions. While the car's engine lacks sufficient punch, says a reviewer in Auto Car magazine, it is certainly economical. But you can't get one in the U.S. You can, however, get one in Europe. How about projected 915-mile range after a fill-up? Or a claimed 71.8 miles per gallon at the end of a 36 motorway in an urban commute? Most impressively, a genuine 58 miles per gallon in the drive from southwest London to Sheffield without even trying, with the gauge still reading well over half full, with 440 miles worth of diesel left in the tank at the end of a 406-mile round trip, says the review, and our car only had 2,000 miles showing on its odometer. There are without even more impressive figures to come once the engine has more miles under its belt. All right, so this is a good article, but again, the United States is not allowing these kind of cars. I don't know why. Again, they don't seem to be the friend of the American people. They seem to be lying over and over and over again, and the very things that they say they're doing, they do the opposite. Like Rand Paul. Look what he's doing. Okay, now we're going to step over and we're going to take a look at the Obama situation. Obama Nation, as I like to call it. All right. Sheriff Joe. Sheriff Joe tweets that he has been subpoenaed to testify at the Florida Obama ballot challenge hearing. He says, I've been subpoenaed by Florida attorney in reference to my Obama birth certificate investigation. May have to go there to testify. Well, that would be a really good thing. Because Sheriff Joe, you've heard the information on this show, and he's not backing down. And sooner or later, there is going to be someone in this country who is going to take this serious. Sooner or later. Now, I'm not quite certain why so many people are having a problem understanding this out there. I mean, you've seen the information over and over and over again. You put two and two together and you start to understand there's something fishy with the situation. So, I have a new response for all of those who don't seem to understand and can't seem to get it. This is the only response at this point in time I know how to give. All right? I mean, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything more to say because I don't understand. You know, why you can't see these things. How did you get divided from your common sense if you're not seeing this? Because there are those who are looking at this and very clearly seeing a crime has been committed and is being committed every single day. People complain every day about life having problems. Well, there's a crime going on every day and it's not being dealt with by the majority of the people. There's a minority of individuals dealing with this and concerned about this. This should be an issue that should be important to the entire United States of America. Unfortunately, too many people have been watching the box and they listen to Fox News and they hear everything Fox or CNN or MSNBC or CBS and the mainstream says and they believe it because that propaganda is going in and working on their brains. I'm just not getting it. Again, my only response for those who don't understand the Obama situation out there is all right. Continuing on. Here we go. This one here is a large green fireball went across the United States and Canada the other day. So let me show you what this one looks like here. All right. So we got the video come in. Margaret from Arpaio, Ohio exclaims, I have seen a few fireballs in my life. None that was green. So cool, looked like green sparks coming off the initial fireball. Fireball faded with no flash, glowing green and white that faded into white. Stephen in Toronto comments, never seen anything like it before. Meteor was spotted over West Michigan Thursday night. It happened around 9:30 p.m. In the above video, the meteor can be seen moving from right to left. About 8 seconds into the clip. See the video going to be right over here. There you go. See that? Look at that. That's what was seen zipping across. Pretty darn fascinating. All right, what is that? Well, looks like a meteor of some sort. Or is that something else? All right. How'd you like to be driving down the road and you see that? Pretty cool, huh? All right, continuing on. Mother Nature has been doing some crazy things, as we know. And this is, well, a really good example. Did you know about all the hailstorms that are going on? Remember Nostradamus talked about these large hail that we would have? Well, look at this. This is from a hailstorm in Dallas. Look at this window. It looks like Swiss cheese from hail that hit it. All right. 79 reports of hail in the United States on Wednesday, many of which were clustered around the Dallas area. Of those 79 hail reports, 19 of those were hail larger than 2-inch diameter. All right, see the places where the hail was reported. And as we continue down here, look at this.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear this right now, but you can definitely see what's happening in the water. I think my car is probably going to have a window broken out. Okay, this is the biggest hailstorm I have ever witnessed in my life. That is hail. That bucket is catching it out there. Look at the hail out the window. Oh my gosh.
All right. That is pretty intense. Here's some of what was out there. I mean, something like that could probably hurt someone pretty bad if it hit them. Look at this rooftop from all of that damage. And this is just one hailstorm on one day. More broken windows. Looks like snow out there in Dallas. So much hail. Look at the ground, how the ground's pitted out from all the hail. Again, so you can see how large it is. And this page here is going to be up. You can go through all of these videos, but all of these are videos capturing the hail hitting down here. I mean, this was very intense, this storm that's going on. Very intense. All right. All right, so now we've come to the end of the show, and I've got one good piece to play before we do our meditation, because I want to end up with something positive to send us on into the weekend here. This is Napoleon Hill, the original positive thinker. What the mind can conceive, believe, and achieve. Listen to this. If you haven't heard it before, you're in for a treat. And if you have, well, then it's always good to hear a repeat.
My search led me to the study of the spiritual forces with which all of us are blessed. And it was in this field that I came upon a clue which has enabled me to help millions of people to find their earthly destinies. I want to describe my discovery in the simplest terms possible, because it will reveal to you why it is true that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve, regardless of how many times you may have failed in the past or how lofty your aims and hopes may be. I caught my first fleeting glimpse of the profound law which provides the means by which we may choose our own purpose in life and attain it, while I was being coached by Andrew Carnegie during the organization of the Science of Success philosophy. I had just finished telling Mr. Carnegie that I feared he had chosen the wrong person to give the world the first practical philosophy of personal success because of my youth, my lack of education, and my lack of finances. Well, at this point, Mr. Carnegie delivered a lecture that I shall never forget, because it changed my entire life and paved the way for my helping to change the lives of millions of people, some of them not yet born. Let me call your attention to a great power which is under your control, said Mr. Carnegie, a power which is greater than poverty, greater than the lack of education, greater than all of your fears and superstitions combined. It is the power to take possession of your own mind and direct it to whatever ends you may desire. This profound power, Mr. Carnegie continued, is the gift of the Creator, And it must have been considered the greatest of all of his gifts to man, because it is the only thing over which man has the complete and unchallengeable right of control and direction. When you speak of your poverty and lack of education, Mr. Carnegie explained, you are simply directing your mind power to attract these undesirable circumstances, because it is true that whatever your mind feeds upon, your mind attracts to you. Now you see why it is important that you recognize that all success begins with definiteness of purpose, with a clear picture in your mind of precisely what you want from life. Then Mr. Carnegie continued his speech with a description of a great universal truth which made such an impact upon my mind that I began then and there to give myself a new outlook on life and set up for myself a goal so far above my previous achievements that it shocked my friends and relatives when they heard about it. Everyone, said Mr. Carnegie, comes to the earth plane blessed with the privilege of controlling his mind power and directing it to whatever ends he may choose. But, he continued, everyone brings over with him at birth the equivalent of 2 sealed envelopes, one of which is clearly labeled the riches you may enjoy if you take possession of your own mind and direct it to ends of your own choice. And the other is labeled the penalties you must pay if you neglect to take possession of your mind and direct it. And now let me reveal to you, said Mr. Carnegie, the contents of those 2 sealed envelopes. In the one labeled riches is this list of blessings. 1, sound health. 2, peace of mind. 3, a labor of love of your own choice. 4, freedom from fear and worry. 5, a positive mental attitude. 6, material riches of your own choice and quantity. In the sealed envelope labeled penalties, Mr. Carnegie continued, is this list of the prices one must pay for neglecting to take possession of his own mind. 1, ill health. 2, fear and worry. 3, indecision and doubt. 4, frustration and discouragement throughout life. 5, poverty and want. 6, and a whole flock of evils consisting of envy, greed, jealousy, anger, hatred, and superstition. Now, my mission in life is to help you and everyone who needs my help to open up and use the contents of the sealed envelope labeled riches. And the starting point from which you must take off if you wish to write your own ticket from here on out for the remainder of your life, I will describe for you in these simple instructions. 1, procure a neat pocket-sized notebook, or something on the order of this one here, loose leaf affair. And on page 1, write down a clear description of your major desire in life, the one circumstance or position or thing which you will be willing to accept as your idea of success. And remember before you begin writing that your only limitations are those which you set up in your own mind or permit others to set up for you. And 2, on page 2 of your notebook, write down a clear statement of precisely what you intend to give in return for that which you desire from life. And then start in right where you stand now to begin giving. And 3, memorize both of your statements, what you desire and what you intend to give in return for it, and repeat them at least 12 times daily. And always end your statements with this expression of gratitude for the blessings with which you were gifted at birth. I ask not, O divine providence, for more riches, but more wisdom with which to accept and use wisely the riches I received at birth in the form of the power to control and direct my mind to whatever ends I desire. If you are not too successful or self-satisfied to accept and express this profound prayer, if you accept it and express it in the same spirit of humble sincerity in which I pass it on to you, a new and a better world will reveal itself to you. A world in which you will see reflected the circumstances and the things which you yourself have created. And now let me close this, our first visit, with my favorite expression of gratitude. O divine providence, I ask not for more riches, but more wisdom with which to make wiser use of the riches you gave me at birth, consisting in the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever ends I desire.
All right, very, very good. That is a very good thing. Now, so you could see the whole range of the way the mind is utilized. From the beginning, you could see the propaganda, and then at the end, you could see the mind can work against that propaganda. Because on the two letters, the two envelopes, which one sounds more like of what is being discussed in society today? The second one, right? All the fears, all the confusions, everything that goes along with that second letter is what is pumped out to the people via propaganda in all different areas. So by controlling your mind and controlling the power of your mind, you can rise above that propaganda. But you have to be willing to do that. You have to unplug your mind from the propaganda machine. You have to unplug it from that system that's brainwashing you, and you have to be able to use your mind effectively. Think for yourself. That's one of the things Dr. Tim Leary said. Think for yourself. You know, I had an opportunity to meet Dr. Tim, spend a little time with him, and he was one of the most fascinating individuals I have ever met, and made quite an impact on me with just the things he said. But think for yourself is the one thing that really stands out over and over and over again. And nothing can be more important to us down here, because we're taught every day to think the way the television tells people to think. Don't think that way. Think the way you're supposed to think. Think the way God wants you to think, not the way man wants you to think. If you think the way God wants you to think, I guarantee you, you're going to be much better off with everything that you are doing. All right. So now, very last thing, let's do our meditation. Send us on into the weekend. For this meditation here, let us focus on directing our mind. So let us imagine walking along a path. First, we are by ourselves, walking alone. And as we walk along that path by ourselves, as we start to imagine and remember that we are not alone on this planet, we start to see others walking along the path as well. And the more we take ourselves out of our own situations to focus on everything going around, the more we realize how many people there are and how similar we all are. How we all want the same type of positive things in our lives. And so with that in mind, let us go into our mind and let us focus that energy. Let's imagine our mind right now is like a camera. And you can point that camera wherever you want it to go. And when you point it there, you can see whatever that camera is looking at. And if it's unclear, you turn the focus until the focus becomes clearer. So take a look. Turn that camera to where you want it to go in life, what you want to see, what you want your life to be. Take a moment. Now, as you see what it is you want, your steps towards that direction become clearer, as if some unseen force guides you along. As your mind becomes clear about what you want, you're able to let go of the things that you don't need, the things that hold you back. And the more you let go of the things you don't need and that are holding you back, the more you're able to move towards your destination. smoother, and efficiently. Now imagine yourself walking to the end of the path, and you see a finish line there, and that finish line represents arriving at your destination. And as you cross that finish line, imagine the feeling that you have of accomplishment. Imagine the feeling that you have of encouragement. Imagine that not only you, but everybody is feeling this. And imagine what the collective feeling of success would be. Let's all focus our energy towards the planet Earth, and let's focus on a similar idea, which is a peaceful planet filled with healthy individuals who are loving what they do and doing what they love, living in a society free from fear and worry. This all starts with a positive mental attitude, and that is one of the things that we all have available to us. So let's think positive thoughts for everyone in the world this weekend. Let's wish everybody a really great, awesome weekend to go and figure out things about themselves, learn new things about life, and move forward. Holding that thought in mind, let's just, one last thing, send out some love around the world from our heart chakra. Imagine the color green going all the way around the planet, bathing the planet, being absorbed down the planet, and even sending that out into the cosmos. And as you're holding that thought of love and positivity for the world, let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment, keeping those thoughts alive in our hearts. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. And there you have it, my friends. We've made it through another week of shows. Have a great weekend. I'll be back next week with more news and information. I'm going to leave you with one last image. This is an image of strength. For any of you who are out there who need to have some inspiration, just draw some inspiration from this kid standing up like this. Imagine what would happen if all of the children in the world stood up. If all of the people in the world stood up like this. Let's have that strength of this little child as we go forward through life. Let's exercise the faith that we need and go forth and make this world the positive place we want it to be. And let's get rid of all of the liars, the cheaters, the thieves, and those causing problems. Because we can make this a better place. But it's up to us. We have to want to do it. Remember, there's more of us than there are of them. We just need to stand up. Alright? That's it. You have a great weekend. I'll be back next week with more news and information. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.